starts right now.
The death toll for Friday's Southeast Side explosion is now at 4, confirmed this evening by the San Antonio Fire Department.
And tonight we are learning one of the 4 victims has been identified. That is 36-year-old Roger Huron Jr., and that's according to the Bexar County Medical Examiner's Office. So here's a breakdown of what we know. The explosion happened Friday night around 11:30 p.m. on South Presa near Highway 181. That's right across from the K-Bar Services, which is a construction company.
The first body was found Friday night by emergency crews on scene. Yesterday around 2 p.m., the second body, now confirmed as Huron Jr., was confirmed. And crews tried to continue scouring the scene but had to stop due to the rain. Efforts continued today when those 2 more bodies were found. The third confirmed by SAFD before noon and the fourth confirmed right before 5:30.
And as of now, the cause of the explosion is still being determined. Arson investigators tell us that they will be back at the explosion site tomorrow morning.
A family is devastated after a suspected drunk driver crashed into their Northwest Side home. Fire crews say the damage will take some time to repair. The night team's Camelia Wada spoke to a neighbor who not only witnessed the crash, but stepped in to save the people involved.
Derek Diaz was sitting outside his house when he heard a car zoom down his street.
Once it crashed into that house, I ran over there.
San Antonio police say the car was speeding down Babcock when it plowed through 2 electric poles, tore through a wired fence, destroyed a Via bus bench, and crashed into the front side of a house on the corner of Cheddar and Babcock.
It was crashed inside the house facing upwards, all crushed upwards.
Diaz was shocked and quickly ran up the street to see if anyone survived.
I thought somebody was actually dead in the car. So I didn't even want to see that, but I just wanted to render aid and see if I can, get them out of there.
The passenger was still stuck in the car that was now vertical.
The car, and they had a sunroof, so the sunroof was actually halfway broken, so I had to kind of pry it off, and then she was coming out. So when she did, I was over the car and I picked her up and pulled her out.
Moments later, Diaz says he heard a scream on the other side of the house.
When I went, the driver was flown out of the car. All her clothes were torn off, and I had to cover her with my jacket. And luckily, she wasn't scratched or anything. She was alive, but she was very in shock.
Both women are expected to be okay. They got out just in time because the car soon caught fire, spreading to the house. San Antonio Fire says the person who was inside the house also made it out in time. Diaz wants people to drink responsibly.
Do not drink and drive.
San Antonio police arrested the 22-year-old driver for driving while intoxicated, and neighbors we spoke to off camera are just thankful that no one was hurt. Camelia Juarez, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you very much, Camelia. An 18-wheeler rollover causes a fuel spill that led to major delays on 281 this afternoon. And now San Antonio police are investigating. Police and San Antonio Fire were called to the scene just after 5 p.m. on Highway 281 near Josephine, not far from downtown. The 18-wheeler could be seen on its side and fuel spilled all over the highway. Firefighters were called to help clean that spill up. At one point, that area on 281 was down to just 1 lane while the scene was being processed. The cause of the crash is unknown at this time.
16 people recovering in the hospital after the church bus they were in rolled over. 13 of those injured are children. This happened over in Houston. Houston police say the bus driver tried to make a left turn but instead rolled over and the bus landed on its side. Officials say no one was seriously injured, but everyone was taken to the hospital. The children range in ages from 1 to 16. Investigators are still determining if the bus driver will face any charges.
The FBI tonight is hoping surveillance video will lead to the arrest of the suspects in connection with a break-in at a secured transmitter site near Elmendorf. 3 suspects were seen walking around the site early Sunday morning before breaking in and taking several items. If you recognize any of these suspects, give the Wilson County Sheriff's Office a call. The number is there on your screen. That is 830-393-2535.
Well, the Bexar County Sheriff's Office is mourning the loss of one of their lieutenants, Jeremy Payne, after he was found dead this morning. BCSO confirmed the news in a statement saying in part, quote, "There is no suspected foul play. The family has requested privacy," end quote. Payne was off duty at the time of his death. A cause and manner has not been released by the Bexar County Medical Examiner's Office. Payne previously served as the president of the Deputy Sheriff's Association of Bexar County.
The strain on the southwest border could be taking its toll on those responsible for protecting it.
Yeah, U.S. Customs and Border Protection has reported an alarming number of suicides among the Border Patrol agents.
The Night Team's Jesse Degollado says 2 border congressmen have set aside $23 million in federal funding to try and prevent more deaths.
Take a moment of silence for them.
It began with a moment of silence in the rain. Members of Congress, Republicans and Democrats, honored the latest 3 U.S. Border Patrol agents to commit suicide in less than a month.
But unfortunately, this is not a new issue.
Henry Cuellar says there have been 149 Customs and Border Protection officers since 2007, the highest being 14 so far this year and in 2009. Tony Gonzalez says what helped stop many suicides during the Afghanistan war.
Congress actually came together and they passed some legislation that created a task force.
So now Gonzalez and Cuellar are working on the TAPS Act, taking action to prevent suicides, including relying on local mental health professionals, creating a mental health curriculum for new CBP officers, periodic management training for crisis intervention, and improving peer support. Border Patrol Council President Brandon Judd says, as it is now,
until we take out the fear of law enforcement coming forward and talking about their mental health issues, they're never going to do it.
Judd says not only would their law enforcement authority be revoked and they'd lose their pay.
They're then in front of their peers in plain clothes, and their peers now know that something is wrong.
Cuellar says the legislation wants to ensure that they're not adversely affected. If so, Judd says some of what's being suggested would, as he put it, absolutely cut down on the number of suicides. Jesse Degollado, KSAT 12 News.
A teenage girl is recovering in the hospital tonight after being found inside a stolen vehicle with a gunshot wound. San Antonio police made the discovery around 10:30 p.m. last night on Texas Avenue near Woodlawn Avenue and North General McMullen Drive. Police say 4 doors were open from the vehicle with the 15-year-old inside who suffered a gunshot wound to the back. 4 other teens were found at the location, but police tell us that they are not cooperating with the investigation.
San Antonio police are investigating a shooting involving a man shot while walking home from a store on the west side. Police responded to the scene at midnight at the intersection of Colima and Southwest 19th Streets. The man told police a silver SUV drove by and shot him before driving back off. He was hit in the right leg and taken to a nearby hospital. No arrests have been made.
Metro Health will begin tuberculosis screenings for students at Brandeis and Clark High Schools, and this comes after Metro Health reported a confirmed case linked to those schools. This confirmed case is from Brandeis, but officials say that person had direct contact with someone at Clark High School. Metro Health will be taking blood samples for these tests. Also happening tomorrow, there is a community meeting for parents to get more information on this. That will be at 6 p.m. at O'Connor High School.
All right, let's take a look outside with live cam here this Sunday night. Looks like the cloud cover is streaming back into the San Antonio area. Temperatures around 60 degrees over at the airport here this hour. Earlier today, it was absolutely beautiful here in town. There was a hole in the clouds right over Bexar County. We had plenty of sunshine out there. Not a bad way to wrap up the weekend. But, of course, that all followed that front that we saw move in last night. Take a look at these rainfall totals. In case you missed it, it wasn't for everybody, but a swath of 6 to even 8 inches of some localized heavy rain that actually produced some flooding was found there on the east side of Bexar County. Nothing out there right now in terms of the radar, but tomorrow morning, some areas of fog and drizzle expected for the morning drive. And a few showers could linger into the afternoon hours, but we've got some changes that move in with the cold front on Tuesday. We'll have all those details coming up in just a few, Courtney.
Mia, thank you. Well, holidays are associated with many joyous things, but some tough topics as well, like hunger. As kids take their holiday breaks, many are pulled from their main source of food, which is at school. As of 2020 in Bexar County, there were more than 112,000 children considered food insecure. That's one of the reasons for a new No Kid Hungry grant, putting the power of change in the hands of Texas pediatricians.
The pediatrician's office is often a safe space for families.
On average, parents will see their pediatrician up to 20 times in their child's first 5 years of life.
So why not bring a crucial topic into those exam rooms? hunger.
We are now providing a screening for those pediatricians to ask questions about hunger and food insecurity to be able to flag, if this family needs resources.
Stacey Sanchez-Hare is the director of the No Kid Hungry Texas campaign, the organization that just announced the $20,000 grant that'll make those hunger screenings possible. Doctors in the Texas chapter of the American Association of Pediatrics will be trained to address the topic correctly.
Bringing the conversation up, having the right questions that don't make people feel ashamed or stigmatized.
Sanchez-Hare is also a mom, and in her line of work, she understands that being food insecure is a hard thing for parents to admit. But she says there is no reason to be ashamed.
We're in a 40-year, inflation high. Every parent is feeling the pinch of gas, electricity bills.
She believes simple yet specific questions from pediatricians can make a powerful difference.
I've never been asked questions like that on my pediatrician visits. And so I think just being able to kind of break that silence and break that stigma and bring it up in conversation is just part of our health wellness check.
A way to stop an often invisible health issue in its tracks.
If you need access to food or are experiencing food insecurity, call 211 or go to 211texas.org. They have resources on food, health, housing, and more.
Yeah, very important discussion there, Courtney. And there is still plenty of time left to donate to the Salvation Army's Parade of Kettles campaign. The money raised will be given back to those in need. Every donation helps here, so no matter how big or small, you can donate by scanning this QR code on your screen or by heading to KSAT.com.
The fallout from the major Keystone Pipeline oil spill continues. Who's taking over the investigation and how the spill may affect gas prices? Plus, NASA's Orion capsule splashing back down to Earth 32 times the speed of sound. How the success of this mission will prepare NASA to send astronauts to the moon again.
And it was a 1988 plane bombing that claimed the lives of 259 people. And now the suspect accused is not only facing charges, but in U.S. custody. How the family of the victims are reacting to this news.
This SA Salutes holiday greeting is brought to you by Gomez Law Firm.
Hi, I'm Matt Powell, and on behalf of Jose Rios, Tony Garzavale, and everybody here at the Gomez Law Firm, we'd like to wish all of our military and veterans a happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Well, the man accused of making the explosive device that brought down Pan Am Flight 103 over Lockerbie, Scotland nearly 34 years ago is now in U.S. custody.
ABC's Deirdre Bolton has some of the victims' families' reaction to this major break in the case.
Abu Aguila Massoud, the Libyan intelligence operative suspected of building the bomb that brought down Pan Am Flight 103, is now in U.S. custody, booked into the Alexandria, Virginia Adult Detention Center Sunday evening. Known as the chief bomb maker for former Libyan President Muammar Gaddafi, he allegedly confessed to a Libyan officer. Former Attorney General Bill Barr announced the charges against him 2 years ago.
At long last, this man, responsible for killing Americans and many others, will be subject to justice for his crimes.
Flight 103, heading from London to New York, had been in the air less than an hour when an explosion sent the Boeing 747 plunging into the small Scottish town of Lockerbie just days before Christmas. All 259 people on board that flight were killed. 11 people on the ground also died. Nicole Boulanger, a student from Shrewsbury, Massachusetts, was on the flight, returning home from a semester abroad. Her mother reacting to this latest news.
We knew that they had located who the bomber was and that Libya was holding them. And it was only a matter of time before the negotiations would lead to this kind of an outcome.
Bert Ammerman's brother Tom was also among the victims.
He had two daughters at the time, 6 and 4, a wife. He was 36, young. He didn't get to live his life.
He still wants more answers.
What did he do? Who told him to do it? And we've got to get that information and expand upon it.
Massoud had been in Libyan custody. The details of how he came to be in U.S. custody were not explained. Deirdre Bolton, ABC News, New York.
Well, even for those of us who did not get some of that rain, we should be happy for everyone who did, because that was pretty incredible.
It really was. And
yeah, it was.
And for some spots, it was too much of a good thing, right? Because we had that swath of about 6 to 8 inches closer to the St. Hedwig area on the east side of Bexar County, and that kind of stretched into the far western reaches of Guadalupe County. And that was all thanks to that weak cold front that we had move into the area overnight last night and very early this morning. Today was beautiful, especially here in town. We found more sunshine. Tomorrow's likely going to be a different story, though, as we head into the first day of the upcoming work week, thanks to some additional humidity that works in overnight tonight and really throughout the day tomorrow. I think the cloud cover is going to stick with us for the majority of the day. And first thing tomorrow, stepping out the door, probably a good idea to give yourself a little bit of extra time to get to where you need to be, because we are expecting patches of morning fog as well as some patchy drizzle to greet you out the door. A few PM showers not completely out of the question into our Monday afternoon, and more unseasonably warm temperatures, especially as we head into the second half of the day. But bringing you right back outside here late this Sunday night, again, the cloud cover has returned to Bexar County. No issues right now in terms of visibility. Temperature 61 degrees officially over at San Antonio International with a dew point of 55. So not too bad right now in terms of those dew point temperatures, sitting in the 50s for most. But again, as we head into our Monday, winds turn back in from the southeast. Could be a little gusty out there, especially by Monday evening and Monday night. Some wind gusts upwards of 20 miles per hour possible. But what that southeast wind is doing, much like what we saw last week, it opens the door for more of that Gulf moisture and humidity to work its way back in as well. So while we're pretty quiet out there in terms of the radar, nothing really going on across south central Texas. That is expected to change in spots through the overnight. Again, we are expecting some patches of drizzle, maybe some light rain to develop, and that will be the case for some as you're stepping out for the morning commute. And then as we head into the afternoon hours, again, a few more spots of rain certainly possible, generally streaming in from the south and pushing farther up to the north. In terms of our temperatures, we'll start off Monday morning in the upper 50s and low 60s. I think around 60 officially here in town. 57 up in Bernie, same up the road in Kerrville, 59 in Utopia, and 59 also in Castroville out there in Medina County. Again, the cloud cover is with us throughout the majority of the day, around 65 degrees by 11 a.m. And then we'll continue to see those temperatures warm up just a bit more as we head into our Monday afternoon. Around 72 degrees is that forecast high tomorrow. Now into Tuesday, you can see it's going to be even more of a warmer start, waking up in the upper 60s here in town, and then temperatures climb their way into the mid 70s before we see our next cold front move in. And you can already see how that affects our forecast heading into our Wednesday. Much cooler and drier air is going to filter into south central Texas. So essentially an area of low pressure is going to be tracking eastward across the Rockies tomorrow, sparking up some pretty heavy snow well off to our northwest as we see that front push across the Lone Star State into our Tuesday. Here in San Antonio, it's possible we find an isolated shower, but I think the better chances of finding rain are going to be off to our east. But as we see that front push through, winds flip in from the northwest, and then here comes that lower humidity and some cooler air. Temperature-wise, it's going to be chilly out there in the mornings, waking up in the 40s, potentially some upper 30s by the upcoming weekend. And then those afternoon temperatures a lot closer to where we should be for this time of year, especially compared to those warmer than average temperatures we saw last week, guys.
All right, Mia, thank you very much. We've been waiting for those colder temperatures to make it feel a little bit more like December.
Exactly. It's got to feel like Christmas around Christmas. Let's get there. All right. Thank you. We'll be right back. All right, what should have been a blowout win for the Cowboys turned into a nail-biter between Houston and Dallas. With more on what's on an instant replay tonight, let's check in with Greg Simmons.
What the heck?
I don't know. I know some people in this building were biting all their nails off.
17-point favorites the Cowboys were going into that game, and not one but three San Antonio area teams with a chance to win a state championship in high school football. Coming up tonight on a brand new edition of Instant Replay.
On 3rd and short, Sanders up the gut and in. Touchdown, Philadelphia.
The Philadelphia Eagles face off against the New York Football Giants in an NFC East rivalry. How does this affect the Cowboys, who have to host the Eagles in 2 weeks? Highlights from every single game played in the NFL today, including a local star scoring a touchdown in one of today's upsets.
We're going to stay!
And 3 San Antonio area teams are left in a shot at the state championship in high school football this coming week. The Bernie Greyhounds, the Wimberley Texans, and the Pope Pirates all will be playing in the AT&T Stadium in a championship game starting on Thursday. We'll get you ready for the best of big game playoff coverage and an all-new 12's Top 12 Sub-5A poll. All that plus the UTSA Roadrunners are getting ready for their bowl game this coming Friday, and UIW is headed to Fargo after upsetting number 2 ranked Sacramento State in the highest scoring playoff game in FCS history. And why do you believe the Cowboys-Texans game wound up being a close contest tonight? You decide. Instant replay is live, and it's after the Nightbeat. And it's more than just overlooking them as an opponent. Trust me. It's more than that.
A lot of things stacking up.
A very big list.
All right. Thank you so much, Greg. And coming up on the Nightbeat, the Orion capsule back on Earth. The next Orion mission expected to have astronauts on board. How soon that will happen now that this flight test was a success.
And a diver's GoPro capturing the moments before a boat almost ran him over, where the diver is taking the blame and apologizing for the almost fatal accident.
And it is being called one of the largest oil spills in recent years. We give you the latest from the Keystone Pipeline spill in Kansas and show you the cleanup efforts underway.